I'm here today with Lieutenant Colonel Oscar Smith, a World War II pilot. And we've had some time together and done some other tape, but a little bit curious about some things here today, Colonel Smith. And I wonder if you tell me a little bit about your very early years, your first school, and a little bit about your home.
I was born and raised in Castle County. Went to school at Yancey, at Yanceyville, North Carolina. That would be in Castle County. And I went to all 12 grades we had the combination of grammar through the high school, being a country school. And I remember the professor was S.H. Abel. He was from Georgia, a very, very educated person and a very fair person. From there, I saw my way clear to going to college by working my way through. And then I went to Elizabeth Grave for 2 years, worked at a wood shop to pay my tuition for the next year. So during the meanwhile, war came along. Then I saw that it was coming, and I volunteered for service of the Air Force, Air Corps at that time. And that being,
What test did you take getting into the Air Force?
The test, the only requirement was if you had 2 years of college education and the physical you were in. That's because they were needing pilots to train and to make a good selection. They could use that as a barometer.
Tell me a little bit about your flight training before you actually went to flight, about your ground training, that kind of thing.
Would that be primary?
What did you learn in primary? Yes.
It was living together with other boys or men that came just out of school, college, and that was quite hard because you usually had your own way, and this time it was a different way of doing things. And from there we had 3 phases of training. The first phase is primary, which consists of 9 months. I'm sorry, it consists of 3 months, because we had 3 months at primary, which I went to Ballinger, Texas, and that was the first year that they had school there for pilots.
Tell me about that PT-19.
The PT-19, we had the PT-19 had just come out, and there was a low wing plane, and it was very ideal for primary training. Get the your basics of your flying into the PT-19.
Did you fly off dirt strips?
We flew off of dirt strips until we came to advanced training. It had so much land in Texas, they never run out of land for the airplanes to take off. So that was why we just chose landing. But it was geared up so that it was not in danger because we had the wind sock, call it, for landing purposes, and we always use those as the good guidance.
What about the difference between when you went out of primary into your basic? What were the difference in the aircraft?
The aircraft at primary was a PT-19, and your basic was BT-14. And that was, I went to Randolph Field, Texas for the PT-14 training. And then when we went to the advanced training, we had retractable landing gear, and the plane was faster as well, much faster, and covered more territory.
Did you have any scary moments at all when you were in either of the three phases of your training there?
No, I didn't have any problems at all. I mean, it just came my way, I guess, somehow. But I never did think about it that I would quit. In other words, I would want to keep right on going with it.
What about your instructors? Tell me about the quality of your instructors.
In primary, I had an instructor, civilian instructor named Miller. And the civilian instructors are quite different from military instructors. They don't, they have no military about them, and I think they didn't have the desire to give good lessons as the Army personnel did. The Army got what good was out of a person.
You found the caliber of aircraft mechanics to be good.
Aircraft was good in its place. The PT-19 did its job. BT-14 was a good basic airplane. It was solid. Landing gear was good. And in advance, we had the AT-6 with retractable landing gear, much stronger plane, and was just better equipped for what we had to do with it.
You went through several phases which you described in another tape and wound up at Camp Davis, but actually you flew targets there, searchlights, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Who replaced you?
That was the latest replaced me with what was that called?
We call it a Wasp?
Watts. That's what came in, and and that's what got me out of Camp Davis. I was towing targets at night. I mean, towing targets at daytime and searchlights at night. When they came in, they put me I had to go to Columbus, Ohio, and check out B-17s, which cost me another 100 hours. And then I got instruction to go to Idaho, and a guy met me at the door and said, "Are you Lieutenant Smith?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You know what you're supposed to do?" I said, "No." I said, "I came out here to get a crew to go overseas." He said, "You're going to be an instructor." I said, "Man, I never taught anything in school, and this is beyond me. I don't want to do that." "I don't care what you want to do. It's what you're going to do." So I made up my mind to make the best of it I could, so I did.
How many hours did you instruct in the B-17, would you say?
B-17 I did instruct about 10 or 15 hours. But now when I got to the B-24s in Idaho, I had about 1,500 hours instructing time.
You met many different pilots, of course, during that time,
Yes, I
particularly.
did. Yes, I did. But
And the relationship was largely pilot, instructor, and pilot to be, and they were going overseas,
yeah,
and you knew that. And how did you feel? What did you feel in terms of your own sincerity about that?
I felt like I should give it everything I got and teach him everything. I thought he could stand, and if he were a good student, then I'd give him some more. A student is just like a student in school. If he shows like he wants to do something or better himself, then I would help him more.
Right. What about the B-29? You flew the B-29 and instructed the B-29.
Yeah. Now, I was the B-29s came in the last year I was in service, and they would. That was maybe the Air Force. It had air conditioning, and it would go higher than anything we had, and further, and it'd carry a heavier load. And I had about 75 hours of instructing time, and that was $1 maybe at B-29.
So I don't have to really guess too much. Your favorite plane was?
The B-29.
B-29.
Yes, B-29. It was.
Tell me a little bit about your radio gear.
Radio gear.
Yes. What kind of radio gear did you have, and navigation and so on?
At first, when we went to primary, it was a Gosport. You know what a Gosport is?
No, I do not.
It's a tube that they talk on, and it vibrates. If you listen real good, you can hear what he said. But if you're not paying attention, he sticks it out to cockpit. Then he collects air and throws through the ears. You can't hear anything. So that's. But that Gosport wasn't a thing of the world, but kind of like they use a can, you know, the string that had a wax string. It'd vibrate, and that's how that was. But otherwise we had good communication, real good. We had good people to do that work as well.
What about navigation? What did you have there in terms of finding your way and figuring a way to get home?
Oh well,
Meaning home like your home base.
yeah. It's if you get lost in basic. When I was down at Randolph Field, when we get lost, we follow the railroad track until we found a station, and the name would be on the top of the building, and then we'd look at that map and find out where it is. You go back home that way.
You actually had some pretty good electronic gear later on that it could navigate you and just lead you right on in.
Oh yeah, we finally came to the fact of a radio compass, and that's the best navigation piece of equipment it is on an airplane. You set your dial and follow your dial right on in. It was a compass as well.
Well, Colonel Smith, I know that you were instructed to be an instructor because they said that is where you could be of most value. The other side of that is I also know that you volunteered not only for combat in Europe but also in the Far East. The fact that you were instructor tells me that you did much for our country, of which I am certainly appreciative. And do you have any particular regrets now that you look back at it and they dictated where you went? Is there anything that's hanging in your mind that, yeah, I wish I could have gone on to Europe, or I wish I could have gone on to Asia or Far East? Do you feel good about what you did?
I feel extremely and real proud of what I did. It was hard, but it was a good road to travel. It made you appreciate life, appreciate families, and appreciate anyone that wanted to do something for themselves and for your country. That was, and to give all you had in the minimum time that we had to do so, and give it all you had, was the most important thing of all.
So from all your military career, and then your many years in civilian life out here, is there any particular advice? What would you send out to the youth of today in terms of what your accumulated experiences are?
It would be, you can't leave out love. If you love someone else, love your job or what have you, you can accept a whole lot of things that make the world better for yourself and for whoever is with you at that time. It's been a great journey through this life, and I hope I left something that other people can use. It'll be of benefit to them.
Well, Colonel Smith, let me conclude this by simply saying that I do appreciate what you've done. You have been a real sterling example of what the US of A has been, and I think continues to be in many respects, and certainly an example for so many people I even know, because by and large you are my neighbor,
Yeah.
and I know you well.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for what you've done,
Yes.
not only for our local people here, but for our country and for this world. You are certainly a good example, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.